Jazz. Have you ever looked into someone's eyes and realized the person you trusted the most had been lying to you for months? Not because they admitted it, not because someone warned you, Jazz, but because one tiny moment, one tiny mistake, made everything fall apart. People always say that heartbreak comes with tears. They were wrong. Sometimes heartbreak comes with silence, Jazz. The kind of silence that is so loud it feels like the whole world has stopped breathing. The night my heart broke, I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I didn't call anyone. I just stood there, Jazz. Frozen, while the life I had spent 5 years building quietly collapsed in front of me. If someone had told me a week earlier that the man I loved would become a complete stranger overnight, Jazz, I would have laughed. I believed in him, I defended him. I trusted him even when other people didn't. Maybe that's what love does, Jazz. It teaches you to ignore the signs, because believing the truth hurts more than believing the lie. My name is Emma. I'm 32 years old. For most of my life, Jazz, I believed love wasn't about finding the perfect person. It was about choosing the same person every single day. I chose Daniel every day, even on the difficult ones, especially on the difficult ones. Jazz. We met in the most ordinary way possible. A rainy afternoon, a crowded coffee shop, one empty chair, one awkward smile, one conversation that somehow lasted 3 hours. He wasn't rich, he wasn't famous, Jazz. He wasn't the kind of man who walked into a room and demanded attention. He was quiet, cocooned, or at least, that's who I thought he was. People loved us together, Jazz. Our families talked about weddings before we ever did. Friends joked that we'd be the old couple holding hands on a park bench one day. Even strangers smiled at us, Jazz. That's how convincing our happiness looked from the outside. Looking back now, I wonder how much of it was real and how much of it was simply a beautiful performance. We shared everything, Jazz, or at least I thought we did. Our dreams, our plans, our savings, our apartment. Every Sunday morning, we'd make pancakes together. Every Friday night, Jazz. We'd watch terrible movies and laugh more than we watched. Every birthday, every holiday, every little victory. He was there, he knew my fears. He knew my childhood stories, Jazz. He knew the parts of me I had never shown anyone else. And because he knew those parts, he also knew exactly how to break them. Funny how betrayal works. It never starts the day you discover it, Jazz. It starts months, sometimes years, before you ever notice small lies, tiny excuses, changes so subtle they almost feel normal. Working late pond face down, new passwords, less eye contact, Jazz. More silence. At first I blamed stress. His company had been going through changes. He came home tired, distracted, quiet. When I asked if everything was okay, he'd smile, Jazz. That same gentle smile that once made me feel safe. I'm just exhausted. I've got a lot on my mind. It'll get better. And because I loved him, I believed him. Love makes trust feel automatic, shouldn't. One evening, my best friend Sophie looked at me across the dinner table. She hesitated before speaking. Emma, can I ask you something? I laughed. Since when do you ask permission? She forced a smile. Have you noticed Daniel acting different? The question caught me off guard. What do you mean? I don't know. He just seems distant. I shrugged. Work. He's under pressure. She nodded slowly. Maybe too slow it is. I didn't think much about it. Now I wish I had, Jazz. Sometimes the people outside your relationship can see cracks long before you do. But when you're standing inside the house, you don't notice it's falling apart. Life kept moving, Jazz. Or at least I thought it did. Then came that Friday. The Friday that changed everything. It started like every other day. Coffee day Miles meetings. A quick text from Daniel. Running late tonight, don't wait. For dinner. Simple, normal. Nothing unusual, I replied with a heart emoji. He never answered. Agon. Nothing unusual. By evening, heavy rain covered the city. Gaz. The streets reflected colorful lights like broken pieces of glass. I decided to surprise him. His favorite restaurant was near his office. I ordered takeout, his favorite pasta, garlic bread. Gaz. The chocolate dessert he always pretended not to want, but always finished before I could. I smiled the whole drive there. Funny, the happiest moments sometimes happen seconds before the worst ones. Gaz. When I reached his office building, something felt strange. The parking lot was almost empty. Most lights were off. The receptionist looked surprised to see me. "Daniel?" She frowned. "He left hours ago." I blinked. "No." He texted me. She checked her computer. He signed out at 4:30. 4:30, it was nearly 8. My stomach tightened. Gaz. Maybe he had gone to meet a client. Maybe traffic was terrible. Maybe. It's amazing how quickly the human mind creates excuses for someone it refuses to doubt. I called him, no answer. Agon, voicemail. Agon, nothing. I stood in the rain, holding a paper bag full of food that was getting colder by the minute. I remember staring at my phone, waiting for it to ring. It didn't. Finally, a message appeared. "Busy. I'll explain later." Just 4 words, no apology, no explanation. Just enough to keep me waiting. I drove home. The rain became heavier. Gaz. The windshield blurred into streaks of light. For some reason, I couldn't stop thinking about Sophie's question. "Have you noticed Daniel acting different?" When I reached our apartment, it was dark. Gaz. Empty, silent. I placed the untouched food on the kitchen counter. It was past 9 o'clock, 10, 11. Still nothing. Every sound outside made me think he'd finally come home. Gaz. Every passing car raised my hopes. Every minute made them smaller. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. My heart jumped. It wasn't Daniel. It was an unknown number. No name, no profile picture, just one message. "I think you deserve to know the truth." Attached below it, a single photo. I stared at the screen, confused, curious, terrified. Slowly, I opened it. At first, Gaz. I didn't understand what I was looking at. A restaurant, soft lights, 2 people sitting together. Then I zoomed in, and my entire body went numb. Daniel smiling. Gaz. Looking happier than I'd seen him in months. Across the table, a woman, young, beautiful, lawing at something he had just said. His hand resting gently over hers. Gaz. The same hand that held mine every morning. The same hand that promised forever. I couldn't breathe. "No," I whispered. "This can't be real. Maybe it was an old photo. Maybe it was work." Gaz. Then another image arrived. This one outside the restaurant. Daniel pulling her close, looking into her eyes. The kind of look people can't fake. The kind of look I hadn't received in a very long time. My knees gave out. I sat on the floor. The phone slipped from my hands. For several minutes, I simply stared at the ceiling, completely empty. No tears, no anger, nothing. Shock is strange, Gaz. It protects you from pain, until you're ready to feel it. Then another message appeared. "I've seen them together several times. I'm sorry." That was it. No name. No explanation, just truth. Gaz. Or what looked like truth. I wanted to call Daniel. I wanted answers, someone to tell me the photos were fake. Instead, I waited at exactly 12:43 a.m. The apartment door unlocked. Gaz. Daniel walked inside. His clothes were dry. His smile was relaxed. Until he saw me, still sitting on the floor, pawn in my hand, eyes locked on him. He froze. For the first time in 5 years. Gaz. Neither of us said a word. The silence between us carried more weight than any argument ever could. He looked at the phone, then back at me. His face changed, not to guilt, not to sadness, to panic. Gaz. And in that single moment, without hearing a single explanation, I already knew the man I loved had been living a second life, and mine would never be the same again. Gaz. Daniel stood frozen in the doorway. For a few long seconds, neither of us moved. The apartment felt strangely quiet. Even the rain outside seemed to disappear. Jazz. The only sound I could hear was the steady ticking of the clock on the kitchen wall. Tick, tick. 5 years of memories were hanging between us, waiting for one of us to speak. Jazz. He looked at the phone in my hand, then back at my face. His eyes searched mine, as if he could somehow guess exactly how much I knew. Emma, his voice was barely above a whisper. I can explain, Jazz. I almost laughed. It was amazing how those 3 words sounded exactly like every movie scene where someone had already been caught. Not how are you? Not what's wrong? Not even what happened, just, I can explain. I slowly stood up. My legs felt weak, but I refused to let him see it. Can you? I asked quietly. He took one cautious step toward me. Please, it's not what it looks like. Jazz. I held up the phone. The pictures, the messages, the lies. What exactly doesn't it look like? He opened his mouth, closed it again, for the first time since I had known him. Jazz. Daniel looked completely lost. He had always been good with words. Whenever we argued, he knew exactly what to say. Whenever I worried, he knew exactly how to calm me down. Jazz. Whenever life became difficult, he somehow made everything feel possible again. Tonight, words had abandoned him. He rubbed the back of his neck, avoiding my eyes. I should have told you. I nodded slowly. Yes, you should have, but you didn't. Another silence filled the room. This one hurt even more. Jazz. I walked toward the kitchen counter, where the dinner I had bought was still sitting untouched. The paper bag was soaked from the rain. Inside was his favorite pasta, still unopened. Jazz. I pulled out the dessert and placed it on the table. I went to surprise you tonight. He looked at the food, then at me. I stopped by your office. His face changed instantly. Jazz. They said you left hours before you texted me. He didn't answer. I believed you. Still, nothing. I defended you. Silence. I trusted you. He finally looked up. I'm sorry. 3 simple words. Jazz. 5 years too late. I wanted to feel angry. Instead, I felt tired, the kind of tired that reaches your soul. I sat down in the chair beside the window. The city lights blurred behind the falling rain. Jazz. You know what hurts the most? I asked. He didn't answer. It's not that you lied. It's that I never imagined I'd have to question anything you ever told me. He slowly sat across from me. Jazz. The same place where we had shared breakfast almost every morning. The same table where we celebrated promotions, planned vacations, dreamed about buying a house, talked about children. Jazz. Everything suddenly felt like it belonged to another couple, another life. You remember our first apartment? I asked. A faint smile crossed his face. It was tiny. The ceiling leaked. Jazz. The heater barely worked, and somehow we were happier there than anywhere else. He nodded. I remember. We had almost no money, so we made pizza at home every Friday. Jazz. You burned every first batch. A small laugh escaped him. You always reminded me. You always laughed. I smiled for the first time that night. Not because I was happy. Jazz. Because remembering who we used to be somehow hurt even more than looking at who we had become. People think relationships fall apart because of one big moment. That's rarely true. Jazz. Most relationships fade one unnoticed day at a time. One cancelled dinner. One forgotten promise. One conversation delayed until tomorrow. Then another tomorrow. Then another. Jazz. Until 2 people who once shared everything become strangers living in the same home. Looking back, the signs had been everywhere. Daniel stopped asking about my day. He still listened. Jazz. But he no longer cared. There was a difference. He answered questions with 1 sentence instead of 10. He smiled less. He laughed less. Even our weekend walks slowly disappeared. Jazz. Whenever I suggested doing something together, he was tired, bussy, distracted at the time. I blamed life, stress, work, growing older. I never blamed love, because love wasn't supposed to disappear, Jazz. It was supposed to grow stronger, at least. That's what I believed. One afternoon a few months earlier, Sophie had invited me out for coffee, Jazz. She watched me stir my drink for almost a minute before saying something that stayed with me. "Emma, when was the last time Daniel surprised you?" I frowned. "What do you mean? A date, flowers, a weekend trip, anything?" I thought for a moment. "I don't know." She nodded. "Exactly." I defended him immediately. "He's just busy." She smiled sadly. "Jazz, busy people still make time for what matters." At the time, I rolled my eyes. Now, her words echoed louder than ever. Back in the apartment, Daniel finally spoke again. "I never wanted to hurt you, Jazz." I looked directly at him. "Then why did you?" His shoulders dropped. "I don't know." That answer hurt more than any excuse could have, because it sounded honest. He truly didn't know, Jazz. Sometimes people don't wake up planning to betray someone. Sometimes they simply stop protecting what they already have, day after day, choice after choice, until the damage is impossible to hide, Jazz. I stood and walked toward the bookshelf. Our framed photographs covered almost every shelf. Vacation pictures, birthday parties, Christmas mornings, family weddings, 5 years captured in smiling faces, Jazz. I picked up one frame. It was taken during our trip to the mountains. Daniel had his arm around my shoulder. Both of us were laughing. We looked happy. "Do you remember this?" He smiled faintly. "Jazz, our first road trip. We got lost for 4 hours, and you said it was the best part." He nodded. It was. I turned the frame over. Dust had gathered on the back. Funny, Jazz. Even memories collect dust when no one takes care of them. I placed it gently back on the shelf. "I've been thinking," I said. "I spent months trying to become the person you needed, Jazz. I cooked your favorite meals. I cancelled plans when you wanted to stay home. I celebrated every success you had. I stood beside you when work became difficult. I believed every explanation, Jazz." Then I looked him straight in the eyes. "When did you stop standing beside me?" He couldn't answer, maybe because there wasn't one moment, maybe because he couldn't remember, Jazz. Or maybe because the answer would have hurt us both. Outside, the rain finally stopped. The city became quiet. A new day was only a few hours away. But somehow, nothing felt new, Jazz. Everything felt finished. Daniel leaned forward. "I don't want to lose you." I held his gaze for several seconds. Then I asked the one question that mattered most. "If I had never seen those pictures, Jazz, would you have told me the truth?" His eyes dropped to the floor. He didn't say a single word. He didn't have to. Sometimes silence is the clearest answer of all. At that moment, Jazz, I realized something painful. The relationship I had spent 5 years protecting had only existed because one person was fighting for it, and that person had always been me, Jazz. I looked around our apartment one last time. The photographs, the couch where we'd spent countless evenings, the kitchen where we'd dreamed about the future. The walls still held echoes of laughter, Jazz. But laughter alone couldn't hold a relationship together. Trust could. And hours had quietly slipped away long before that rainy night. I took a slow breath, Jazz. For the first time since opening those photographs, I stopped asking myself one question. Why did this happen? Instead, a different question took its place. What am I going to do next, Jazz? I didn't know it yet, but that question would change both of our lives forever. People think the truth sets you free. Sometimes it doesn't, Jazz. Sometimes the truth simply opens the door to an even bigger lie. That night, after Daniel finally fell asleep on the living room couch, I lay awake in our bedroom, staring at the ceiling. Jazz, sleep refused to come. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those photographs again, his smile, her smile, their hands. The image played over and over until it felt burned into my mind. Jazz. The apartment that had always felt like home suddenly felt unfamiliar. Every room carried memories, but now those memories had cracks running through them. Around 3 in the morning, I got out of bed. Jazz. I walked quietly to the kitchen and poured myself a glass of water. The silence felt heavy. Daniel was still asleep on the couch, one arm hanging over the edge. For years, Jazz, seeing him asleep had made me feel safe. Tonight, I felt nothing but distance. I wasn't angry anymore, not yet. I was searching for something much more dangerous, the truth. Jazz. The next morning felt strangely normal. Daniel woke early, made coffee, and asked if I wanted breakfast, almost as if the night before had never happened. His voice was careful, gentle, too gentle. Jazz. It sounded like someone trying to avoid stepping on broken glass. "I'll make pancakes," he offered.